Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Wake Up Wednesdays. So, wake up. These Wake Up Wednesdays are an opportunity for us to reinvigorate one another, for us to recharge and recalibrate towards our plan. And the way that we do that is by checking our GSD list, Get Stuff Done list, which is an outcome driven list, which helps us make progress towards our outcomes, not our to dos. We have hundreds and hundreds of to dos. And if you're like me and you're a list guy, you enjoy crossing your to dos off. But if those to dos don't build towards the outcomes, then what is really the point? We also take this opportunity to recharge and pick our heads up because the week can naturally get away from us. We have multiple people calling us, pinging us, different query systems we're responsible for responding to, people DMing us, people triple and double booking time in our slot when we've already had that time allocated. So if we don't check in with ourselves, the week can naturally get away from us. Okay, guys. So I want to talk to you today about the article I posted in the group chat entitled Unveiling the Blueprint, How Lean Portfolio Management, Agile, Safe, and Scrum can help you formulate your principles for rolling out a product or a project. So the very first thing we do, even before we figure out what our why is in our mission statement, our purpose, we have to figure out the guiding principles. And instead of reinventing the wheel, we can leverage the guiding principles, as I said, from Agile, from Lean Portfolio Management, from Scrum, and from Safe. And we can apply these principles to any type of digital product or project we want to roll. Now, there are 35 different principles, and in the article, I highlight the top 10 and why they are so important. I'm going to check my notes here, and we're going to cover some of these in more detail. So the first thing is we want to use these so we can have a better understanding to drive efficiency, innovation, and excellence. And by taking the combination of all four, it can help us do that. So what is the difference between Agile, Safe, Lean Portfolio Management, and Scrum, and why do we pull them all together to develop our top 10 principles? Agile obviously is focused on customer satisfaction, adaptation, and continuous delivery. Scale applies this to the next level. Excuse me, Safe applies this to the next level when we think about scaling, we think about systems thinking, and we think about an economic perspective. Lean portfolio management comes into play when we think about aligning the strategic goals and outcomes to the overall execution and continuous flow. And Scrum comes into play when we think about having a transparent process where we can inspect and adapt regularly. So that's how the four of these come together. And those top 10 principles that we want to have in place when we think about how we can add the most value for our digital product are first and foremost, the first principle we take from Agile, which is the highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of value. So what that means is that we want to deliver value for the customer and we want to do this continuously. Okay, so this is not just a one-time exercise. We want to deliver value early and often. The next principle, which is taken from Safe, is we have to organize around that value and create value streams. The third principle, which is also taken from Safe, is take an economic view. We can have the most amazing product in the marketplace. We can add tremendous amount of value and budget to that product, but if it does not satisfy the bottom line, it's not going to be a successful product. For example, if we are opening up a restaurant or a digital app for that restaurant and it costs us twice as much to make as the money it brings in, it's not going to be effective regardless of the value. So first, We want to satisfy the customer through early and continuous value. We organize around that value and value streams. But the third point is we must take an economic view. If we don't take an economic view, then we won't be profitable. The fourth point comes from lean portfolio management, which is aligning strategy and execution by applying lean and system thinking approaches to strategy and investment funding. So this is tying the strategy and the execution to where we're actually funded and not having those things disjointed, where we have the money, the funding, the budget here, and the strategy and execution here. These two things must be aligned. The fifth, once we have that alignment, we need to ensure that there is governance of those investments by regularly reviewing the overall portfolio. And if something is not in line with the portfolio or not meeting the bottom line, we need to readjust those strategic goals. That is also from lean portfolio management. The sixth item in our top 10 list is the process must be visible to those responsible for the outcomes. And this comes to us from Scrum. So those that are responsible for the outcome must have visibility into the process. The seventh point, which comes from lean portfolio management, is that we must provide objective evidence of the progress to all of the stakeholders in the portfolio, to the other point we just talked about that are responsible for the outcome. So they have to have visibility into the process and they have to have evidence. We need to show them what it is that they've invested a stake in, what that they funded. The next and the eighth item in the top 10 list for our principles is that if the process deviates beyond acceptable limits and the resulting product will be unacceptable, the process or material being processed must be adjusted. This comes from Scrum. In other words, we need to set thresholds on how much time we're going to allocate, how much money we're going to spend, and how much resources we're going to put towards this before we say this has reached the upper limits of unacceptability, something must change or must be adjusted before we move forward. This is not a bottomless pit of funding, time, resource, and material we just invest in. The ninth item is the business people and the developers and the designers must work together daily throughout the project. So we don't want to have investors, business people, end users over here, developers and designers over here, and then they talk when the outcome is close to being achieved. We want to have a communication loop so that they're in contact with each other constantly. And the 10th most important item on the top 10 list is that people must personally commit to achieving the goals of the team. They must personally commit towards the outcome, and that comes to us from Scrum. So these are our top 10 principles, guys. And once again, before we talk about the purpose, the mission statement, what's our why, our objectives and key results, how we're going to get there, our stakeholder mapping, our customer empathy, before we talk about all these really amazing things in our blueprint, we first have to talk about our principles. We take those principles for digital products, once again, from Agile, from SAFe, from lean portfolio management, and from Scrum. We take the 4 principles from these 4 concepts to create a top 10 list that we just reviewed, and there are over 35 principles. So you don't only have to look at the top 10, you can look at all 35. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this opportunity thinking about the top 10 principles for digital products that come to us from Agile, SAFe, Lean Portfolio Management, and Scrum. And once again, welcome to Wake Up Wednesdays. So wake up. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, a great rest of your day. Let's please keep the conversation going. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Give me a call sometime and hustle harder. I'll talk to you soon. All right, thanks and have a great day. Bye-bye.